Let's take a look at how we can calculate or construct the intersection between two curved surfaces. So here in my lower sketch, you see I have now, instead of a roof and a chimney, kind of like an arc and a cylinder. The shapes are more complex right now, but they're actually not really more complicated. You just have a few extra steps to do. So let's go first actually to Blender for a second. And for example here, let's go to this layer. There we see I have half a cylinder and a cube. And what's really interesting is how, for example, the intersection between the cube and the half cylinder is resulting into half an arc and a line. This line goes to the vanishing point. However, if we, for example, put in a cylinder instead of a cube, you will end up with an intersection like this. So this is always round, it's not linear anymore. And specifically, if we maybe go to here, this is very easy now to see how, for example, these shapes change based on your view. For example, one point from the front looks like a cartoonish smiling mouth. If you maybe go into your top view, looks like a sphere. If you may go maybe to a 2-point, what's really interesting is how pinched this edge is, how big and wide this rounded opening is. For example, now you see this starts to look like an unlimited sign, like an 8. Here, for example, again, this is very sharp. This is a bigger corner. We can see this corner more, so this opening is bigger. We can't really see this corner, so this corner will be, or this part will be, more pinched. And to construct such a curve, all we need is 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and then similar like with the roof, will be found, for example, hold on one second, those points which I'm marking right now, kind of like as reference points, so we can draw the intersection. The same pretty much applies also to here. So let's go to Illustrator. And let's see what I have. So step number 1, I create my geometry, my bounding box, so I can perfectly construct then my half cylinder into it. And what's really important here right now in addition is kind of like this midline on top and this cross-section line, which is at the center of my object. This is really important. And for example, here I also have my cylinder, which also has its own boundary box. Because again, those lines will be very, very important for me when I want to construct everything. So let me show everything. Let's zoom in a little bit so it will be easier to see. So how do I now figure out how, for example, this cylinder would cut an opening into this arc? Well, if you pay attention to this line, of course I have to uncheck this, unfortunately, otherwise I can't select them. So this line, this blue one, is kind of like the midsection of my cylinder. And you see that actually this ring touches this line at 2 points. So kind of like here and there. This means there, for example, the cylinder actually can start on this half arc. And to draw a ring, we know we need at least 4 points. So let me show you now how I would progress. Let me switch the color so it's easier going to see what I'm going to do. And let's go to this layer. Those actually, no, I want to be locked. Oh, you go away. Okay, so I go to the line tool. Let me select the right color. So we said point 1 we have, point 2 we have. We need at least 4 additional points. So this midpoint, so this one here, I would like to know where it is here. So for example, you see I have this mid arc here. So here I can draw a line straight up. That is, for example, now where the cylinder would cut my half arc. And for clarification, let me put down those lines here as well. And I have also one line, for example, already back there. So now there you see I have 4 vertical height lines. They basically define point 1, 2, 3, and 4. But it might be difficult to really understand like how, for example, this arc has to go down, how it has to go up, and then how it flows to there, because this is actually a quite complicated shape to imagine because we are dealing here with 2 curved surfaces. So instead of working with 4 points, what actually will make it a lot easier is when we start working with 8 points. So in addition to those 4 lines, I'm going to create some more. And specifically on those arcs, these quarter points. So for example, if I draw a straight line up, here I would like to know when this vertical line is going to penetrate my arc. And again, an easy way to figure this out is, let's make use of our boundary box. So you see I draw a line on the ground plane through the bottom point till I hit this boundary box. Let's go up till it hits the arc. So this is the height back to the right vanishing point. And there we have this point. And then we have, for example, this point. So this one now I can lower a little bit. And then maybe delete this. And there you see now if you try to form a line or a curve flowing through it, how nicely this works. Let's repeat this actually maybe here. So maybe there and there. And maybe there. Oop, I deleted the wrong line. This one goes down till there. Okay. Now we have kind of like 4 points that are actually on each, kind of like on each left, right, up, down pole, and also at quarter marks. At this point now I can, for example, take down my pen, and I'm going to do it just for 1/2. Let me pull out those handles first. So this is going to be a little bit easier. So this line has to go to there. And this is actually a shape that is a lot easier to draw again by hand than in Illustrator. So you see that actually how linear nearly this line looks like, and this is going to feel like a nice arc. So that's actually quite correct. So I need one more. This one I have to arc out, put it to there. Okay, so let's say most of those lines are constructed correctly. And let's go to the layers, and I would like to turn off the cylinder, this one and this one. And let's take a look how this feels. So if you know, kind of like try to imagine the cylindrical shape inside, you start seeing that this actually looks quite believable. And for example, here this arc is quite big. This is very small and pinched. Because again, if we go, for example, to here, then you see how odd actually this really looks like. And I'm nearly pretty close to there actually. So let's undo some of these steps because I made one wrong adjustment. I felt like this line is out too far, but actually that probably is correct. So there again, I felt like maybe this line was off, but actually the result I was getting is correct. So don't trust your eyes, trust your construction. And maybe the cylinder. Okay, well, let's compare. And you see it's very close. Okay, so now of course you can continue drawing the cylinder to the top so it extrudes out of the object. Or if I, for example, start drawing lines down, then I can make it look like that there is actually the cylinder cut into this arc. So that's the process, how you create the intersection line between two curved surfaces. You see that compared to, for example, the approach in how to create a roof, it is not really that much different. You just need some extra points for actually, but the process or the workflow is exactly the same.